boat lift recently.
Yes.
Tell us about that, ضاري.
So I was personally involved in Ras Al Ard boat lift. One fisherman called us. He had his boat parked in the marina. He came to it that day and he saw the boat underwater.
Okay.
So he called for help. I need to get my boat and at least, recover what I can recover from the boat. So, we came to assist him, and it was kind of, it is dangerous in the sense that when we're diving, because the boat is underwater, you have gasoline leaking out of the engines, and you also have the sharp, if you will, the turbines of the engines. They're very sharp, and you're underwater. The visibility is not necessarily clear. So it took us approximately 2 hours to lift it, but we successfully managed to do that. And alhamdulillah, it was a huge success.
Well, that's great. You managed to get that boat out of the water in 2 hours' time, and another one of the achievements there. Now, also moving on, Al-Maradim, one of the islands right here off the Kuwait coast. Cleanup, island cleanup. Elaborate more on that, please, Dari.
So Al-Maradim is one of the cleanup projects that we have for all our islands and all our coral reefs around the country.
So you have like different timings where you do these things, cleaning up islands and the coral reefs around the islands.
Definitely. And with Kuwait Dive Team, we're specialized, if you will, with the major lifting operations. The ones that don't necessarily, anybody can do them, but we come in to assist and fill that gap. So at Al-Maradim, we lift over approximately 4 days. We've lifted 7 tons of waste from the coral reef.
Oh, wow.
And this included huge tires, as you've seen in the videos before. Now, what was also challenging about Al-Maradim, well, here this is the fishing nets, actually, which we encounter in our
coral
operations.
Reef cleanups,
Yes, these fishing nets, unfortunately, some fishermen, when they get tangled, they just leave them and drop them, and what happens is
destroys the coral reefs.
Destroys the coral reefs. The creatures, as you can see, die because they get stuck. They cannot move away, and they're very dangerous to the diver because we can get tangled and stay there underwater without
it can be life-threatening. I mean,
of course.
And these are some of the activities of the Kuwait Dive Team, just trying to clean up and take care of our environment. Go ahead with what you were saying before we got to this footage.
Yeah, so at Al-Maradim, what was really interesting and challenging was that when we were diving, we found an Iraqi cannon underwater plus 6 explosives.
Oh, that were dangerous.
Yes, very dangerous. Of course, we're not necessarily authorized to move them.
Of course, we have to contact the correct authorities to do that, but underwater there seems to be a lot of things there.
Definitely.
Well, sure. Well, that's one of the other achievements, helping out, finding out missing things that need to be cleaned up from our reefs and underwater. Now tell us about the mooring buoys project. Tell us about that.
At the moment we have 70+ mooring buoys around Kuwait, and especially around the coral reef. And the aim behind that project is to, instead of you going out with your family or friends to go diving or to go out at sea, instead of throwing an anchor and possibly damaging the coral reef by destroying it, all we require is that, we have this buoy, you go with your, just a rope,
and you
tie your boat.
Tie it up. And I noticed that this summer at Kuwait, there seem to be more of them around now, so that makes it a lot simpler and easier for people.
Definitely. They're all over Kuwait, and like I said, there's 70+ mooring buoys, and it's not only about the installation, it's also about maintaining these 70+ buoys.
So you have to maintain them. How do you do that then?
You either change the buoys every now and then, you actually clean them, you change the cables, or you actually, if God forbid it gets lost altogether, we have to drill with a special drill underwater. And
we were taking a look at that earlier.
Yes, definitely.
How does that work, that drill underwater?
It is hydraulic.
Okay.
It actually,
you feel the shaking when someone's
drilling? Yes. Okay. Oh yes. It's quite heavy, and you do feel it underwater.
Okay. Now, artificial reefs. I know the Kuwait Dive Team also involved with that, because we've had some destruction of some of our coral reefs and trying to get them, I think, back or rehabilitate. Is that how they call it?
Yes.
Explain to our audience about that, ضاري.
So you just said it perfectly. A part of what we do is not necessarily just protecting, but we also want to be proactive about our role in rehabilitating the environment. So we install these artificial reefs underwater, whereby corals can create a new home for them. So we'll recreate the environment for corals to grow again.
Very nice.
We had at the moment like 25 artificial reefs in Jabir al-Khair conservation in southern Kuwait. And we're continuing to install these artificial reefs all across our reefs.
Okay, now tell us about the coral monitoring. Tell us about that, please.
Coral monitoring, or Coral Watch, is an international program that Kuwait Dive Team is participating in. At the moment, what we're doing is that we're diving on a regular basis to monitor the corals. So here the chart you can see on the screen, we have different colors. When we go diving, we compare these colors to the different corals.
So what does the brown mean and the green and so forth?
Depending on the type of coral, the darker the color is, the healthier the coral is.
Okay.
When it gets more towards the lighter, it means that the coral is suffering from a phenomenon called coral bleaching, which is an effect of the climate change that is happening around the world at the moment.
Okay.
So we're helping monitor that and submitting it to the University of Queensland in Australia to do more research and be active in that sense.
So the corals are being affected, of course, by humans and also by the environment.
Definitely.
With the climate change.
Definitely.
So our corals do need a lot of care then, ضاري, and hopefully the audience out there will take special care. It's always nice to have members of the Kuwait Dive Team on the program, working hard, shedding light and making the public more aware of how to protect and take care of our very precious environment. And now we'd like to congratulate, of course, the Kuwait Dive Team on the award. They're going to be awarded a very special award, the Kuwait Dive Team, next week in Orlando in the United States. Tell us about that award, ضاري.
So Kuwait Dive Team is very proud to also be part of NAWI, the National Association of Underwater Instructors, which promotes dive safety through education. Because of our affiliation, because of our belief in that system, and because of our serious volunteer projects, we have been awarded the Environmental Enrichment Award, which is not necessarily a new award to Kuwait Dive Team. But this year it's even more special because at the moment there are 7 million divers that are part of NAWI.
Okay. And
we're being recognized amongst these 7 million for our efforts in protecting and rehabilitating the environment here in Kuwait.
Well, that's an amazing and a fabulous achievement for Kuwait and the Kuwait Dive Team, ضاري. And now coming towards the end of our interview, tell us about the website you have.
Our website is www.freekuwait.org. We have a lot of footage, videos, photos, and a lot of information about our projects and what we do. So I encourage all the viewers to visit our website, interact with us, and save the environment.
Okay. And we'd like to thank you, of course, for coming to this evening, and the Kuwait Dive Team for joining us, and the beautiful cake that you presented as a gift to the weekend show. We'd like to thank you and all the board members and all the volunteers of the Kuwait Dive Team, ضاري.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's our pleasure, and we, of course, like to thank them for the beautiful cake that they had and that they provided for us right here on the weekend show. And with that, there is the beautiful cake provided by the Kuwait Dive Team, and we have it right there in the studio, and our staff right after the program, ضاري, will be getting to that for some dessert.
Definitely, definitely. That's all what we hope for.
Well, I hope you can join us and continue with the activities and festivities right here. And once again, congratulations to the Kuwait Dive Team on their prestigious award that they're going to be honored for next week in Orlando in the United States, and we wish them all the best of luck in the future. Right now we're going to take a short break and then be back right here on the weekend show. Stay tuned.